Hi, guys. Hi, it's Dr. George here for Tucked In Tuesdays. And boy, did I need to see you guys today. You know how some days are just harder than others? Good evening, Miss Bridges. Some days are just harder than others. Today was this day. But I have really cool guests today. Last week, if you could remember, I had the author on with the swath and I was dressed and her little girl was on there. Well, she has this magnificent son. Hi, Miss Cunningham. Hi, Cajun Bookworms. How are you? So she has this magnificent son that she wrote this book about with superpowers. And I know many of you don't have superpowers, but Nathan totally has superpowers. The book is Nathan's Autism Spectrum Superpowers, and it's written by Yarborough and illustrated by Natalie Merheb. She'll probably have to help me with that. And then I have a friend, Mike. Most of you see Mike comment all the time in the comments, and I can say this because Mike has given me permission to say this. Mike has autism, and Mike wants to speak as an adult with autism. So if you know anybody with special powers, superpowers, make sure that they join in and listen because they have some really good things for us tonight. So it's just a three-part series. This one, the first one is Nathan. So I'm going to bring out Nathan and Lori. Hi, how are you?
Hey guys, nice to meet you.
So Nathan is not only featured in the book, but he is the guy behind the book. He's not wearing his cape today, but I bet his superpowers are still there. So we have another very special guest, and I have Mike.
Hi.
So that listens all the time. Mike has autism as well, and so he'll be telling you a little bit about it as an adult. Nathan, if he feels up to it, he said he can sit indefinitely right there. So he'll tell us what it's like to have superpowers because we don't have those. So hi, Ava, Ari, Pop, and Mike, you even got a shout out. So give Nathan some shout outs as well. I'll put those on the screen. So we'll jump right in with Nathan's autism spectrum. So here we go. Put those comments in. Hi, my name is Nathan, and I have superpowers. And there's Nathan, and he does have superpowers. Okay, so my superpowers don't include superhuman strength or the ability to fly. Although that would be very cool, my powers come from my autism spectrum abilities. Autism affects how I interact with other people in the world around me, how I communicate with others, and how I learn and process information. The official term is autism spectrum disorder, or ASD, but I just say autism. Spectrum means kids with autism have a range of their own unique abilities and challenges. For example, some kids on the spectrum are nonverbal. That means they don't use words to express themselves. Other kids on the spectrum not only talk, but will sometimes use really big words. But all kids on the spectrum have some aspect of communication delay. So there they are. So we're getting some shout outs. So Nathan, you got a shout out. And there's Karen. She's tagging someone. Hi, Lori Cox. And there's Karen tagging someone again. And Nathan, Lori Cox says hi. This is awesome. Hello, Nathan from Port Arthur, Texas. You rock. So here we go. If you don't have autism superpowers, don't worry. It doesn't mean you're any less awesome. It just means we interact differently with the world around us. If you do have autism superpowers, you still might not have the same ones I have because of how we process information in our own ways. An example of this is most kids with autism usually underreact or hyposensitive or overreact or hypersensitive to sensory input. We have trouble with sensory information. These are things we see, hear, taste, smell, touch, and even the way we move around. Our bodies can think the sensory information is too strong, and then we want to avoid it, or the sensory information is too weak, and then we seek it out. So let me tell you all about my superpowers and how they affect my interaction with the world. So there's another shout out. Nathan? My first superpower is supersonic hearing. Noises seem much louder to me than they do to most people. Blaring music, fireworks booming, people yelling. Those things drive me crazy. Want to know what else bothers me? The buzz of light bulbs, the hand dryers in public restrooms, and the loud hum of a vacuum. They may seem like background noise to others, but when I hear them, I just can't think. Sometimes when my supersonic hearing takes over, I can't pay attention when I should. Other times, I curl up in a corner with my hands over my ears to try and block out the noise. Helpful hints for friends. So if you have a friend with autism, here's a hint. If your friend becomes overwhelmed by his supersonic hearing, he won't be able to figure out what to do. If you see him covering his ears, you can help him find a quiet place where he can regroup. Headphones also help block out too much sound. If your friend is distracted by background noise and can't pay attention, try and help him figure out what it is and see if he can move to another room or even stop the noise. There's another shout out, Nathan, from Tony. Another superpower I have is what I like to call absolute select focus. Never heard of this one. Or ASF for short. All this means is that I can choose to focus every ounce of my energy, thought, and attention onto one thing or activity. Now I know what it means. I didn't know it had a word. And that makes me happy. Too much going on around me feels overwhelming. So I enjoy having just one thing at a time to concentrate on. I love to lie on the floor and roll my wooden trains back and forth on the tracks all day long, or line up all my Matchbox cars in a perfect row, or construct creations with brick sets. I even love to draw funny doodles and create intricate mazes and fold origami creations. I can pay attention to something I'm interested in for hours and hours and be perfectly content. I wish I had that superpower. That's pretty nice. Helpful hints for friends. If you want to play with your friend with autism, you might need to be part of what she's super focused on. You can also help by playing next to her with other friends until she feels like joining. This is called parallel play. If your friend is not focused on the correct activity, sometimes a time timer can help her set a moment of time she needs to focus on something important before going back to what she really wants to do. So, hello, you got a shout out. Hi, Kimber from Chesapeake, Washington, Virginia. Lucky you. She's with her new grandbaby. My next superpower is my ability to have complete confidence in my plan A. Okay, so this isn't actually a superpower. This is more to do with my unique toolbox. My mom says everyone is born with a toolbox, but instead of hammers and pliers, this kind of toolbox has things to help me deal with different situations. My toolbox was missing a couple items, like a plan B. This basically means when something happens, I only have one way to deal with it. If my plan A doesn't work out, I have no idea what to do next. Nothing, nada, zilch. Sometimes when my plan A doesn't work out, I get so frustrated that I lose control and yell and run into a wall because I don't know what else to do. Luckily, I have my mom who is very good at putting on her calm face and modeling a plan B for me. And she's modeling now. She says she shows me how to deal with the situation step by step over and over again until I finally understand what to do next. Mom calls it putting tools in my toolbox. It turns out that it's really great to have those tools and know how to use them. Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Lori. Couple hints for friends. If your friend with autism is doing something that doesn't go the way he planned and has a meltdown, it's just because he has no idea what to do next. Help him find a plan B or another way to finish what he's trying to do. Sometimes it can take a very long time, months or years of modeling plan B for it to become a part of the toolbox. So it's kind of like plan B is like a habit, like creating your own habits. Another superpower that can overwhelm me is my super sniffer. I really don't like strong smells, especially body odor, bad breath, perfumes, or even scented lotion. Some foods even offend my super sniffer. So if I suddenly leave an area or make a remark about a smell, blame it on my super sniffer. Interestingly, some kids with autism love strong smells, and their super sniffer seeks them out. Helpful hints for friends. If your friend with autism has trouble with smells, try not to wear strong scents or perfumes. Be understanding if he or she leaves the room because her sensory system is bothered by certain smells. On the other hand, if your friend loves smells, help her find appropriate or good things to use her super sniffer on. My superpower of intense, enhanced eyesight seems to kick in when I'm somewhere with strobe lights, bright lights, or blinking lights, sometimes even with ordinary ceiling lights. My eyes overreact and my whole system goes haywire. When this happens, my only hope is to cover my face to block out as much as I can. My mom helps me move somewhere that doesn't bother me. Sometimes that means just stopping our activities for the day and going home. So here's some helpful hints for friends. Bright lights can really bother your friend. If he gets upset and covers his eyes, that is probably what is going on. Lead him to a place that's not so bright or try and turn off some of the lights in the room. If your friend loves lights, find fun things to look at like light up toys, fiber optics, fun bubble lamps, etc. Now, I didn't know about that. This is my favorite. This is your favorite?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do my best to read this part. One of my favorite superpowers is masterful memory. I love reading and learning about my favorite subjects. I memorize books and even know which pages contains which facts. Of course, that only applies to information that interests me. I enjoy facts, lots and lots of facts. It might surprise you, but even though I love facts, I have a very hard time remembering people's names and faces. I've been told this because faces have a lot of movement and information, and that can be overwhelming. But give me a minifigure dictionary, and I can memorize every single character along with the year it was made. Helpful hints for friends. Let your friend with autism teach you about what she loves. If she sometimes forgets your name, just smile and tell her again. You may even come up with a way to remember. For example, if your name is Lily, tell her to think of a flower when she sees you. Now, that was pretty cool. Mike says, are any of my friends in here? A superpower that can be frustrating when my routine changes is regular routine retention. This means I love a routine. Eating the same thing for breakfast every morning, doing the same activities during the day, going to the same places and staying there for the same amount of time. I hate change. Change is my kryptonite. Change comes from the dark side. I need to know way ahead of time if things are going to be different. And even then, I don't like it. Helping for friends. Changing plans can be hard for your friend with autism. Let him know as soon as possible. Giving him a typed out schedule can make it easier. If your friend is upset about a routine change, tell him you know how he feels and help him understand that we can't always control everything that happens in our day. The next superpower is my actual, factual, literal power. I literally take things literally, which means if you tell me a joke, I may not get the funny part. I see him already laugh. I see you laughing, Nathan. It must be the truth. I may not get the funny part. I take what you say and I believe it exactly the way you say it. You said it. I'm not even kidding. I see things in black and white. This means I don't understand sarcasm and I don't like surprises. This also means I like things to make sense in a way I can understand, like saying rain and cats and dogs. Nathan doesn't like that. Helpful hints for friends. Your friend with autism won't get sly jokes and sarcasm. She will honest to goodness believe you meant what you said, and that's very frustrating. But you can explain the joke and point out why it is funny to help her understand. There are good and bad things about having superpowers. The bad is that my powers don't come with a reaction regulator. It's very hard to regulate or control my emotions. When I get hurt or scared or frustrated, my emotions go straight from feeling great to ready to explode, and I completely overreact. My mom made a scale for me to help visualize what my reaction should be when different things happen. I call this my reaction regulator. It has numbers from 1 to 5 to go along with emotion levels. It goes something like this. Mom points to the reaction scale and says, Nathan, you lost your favorite minifigure. That is a 2, which is the same as bummer, not total emergency. You need to bring your emotions and reaction down to a 2. Freak out or not a big deal. Helpful hints for friends. If your friend suddenly yells or cries, don't panic. Talk to her in a calm, quiet voice. Try to figure out why she's upset. Give her a number on the scale of how she should be reacting. Make sure she knows you're here to help with the situation. And here it is, overreaction. Total emergency. You can freak out. I was a number 5 today. Number 4, having a bad day. Okay to be sad. I was a number 4 today. Number 3, not going as planned. Take a moment, then move on. I should have done number 3. Number 2, unexpected situation. Bummer. Not a big deal. 2, I wish I could have done that. Life is good. Be happy. 1, I'm getting there. I might keep this in my room tonight. My brain is always thinking about something. This is called my perpetual automatic brain activation. I'll just be sitting somewhere trying to pay attention when my brain starts thinking about something completely different, and I can't make it stop. A lot of times I'm thinking about several things at once, like doodles I'm working on, or my favorite video game creation, and my current building brick project, all at the same time. It's very hard to pay attention to what I'm supposed to be thinking about when my perpetual automatic brain activation is working. I feel like I'm completely locked into my current project and I can't leave until I finish. These superpowers. What's a guy to do? Helpful hints for friends. If your friend is thinking about a project and can't move on, you can help. Figure out how to finish the activity or come up with the time to come back to it. Writing down your friend's project in a small notebook might help them understand it's okay to take a break and come back later.
Hey, Dr. George.
Yes.
These doodles right here.
Uh-huh.
Nathan did those when he was 5.
Oh, wow.
He would spend hours and hours. He had just sheets and sheets and sheets of doodles, like hundreds of them. And so we put some of them actual doodles in the book. They're like amazing. So
yeah, those are completely different. So,
yeah, those are his actual doodles. We actually just transferred into the book. So
yeah,
That's pretty awesome.
How cool.
The next page, your own superpowers. If you're on the autism spectrum, you probably have some of the same superpowers as me, and also some that are unique to you. Write down your name and your own superpowers below. So there's a little page for that. And then it says, you have superpowers. You are awesome. You are uniquely you. And then there's a page. This is the coolest thing. Look at that. And it says energy levels. My mom helped me to figure out activities that are energy draining and activities that are energy building. I usually imagine my energy levels like a battery. Sometimes I tell my mom how much percent my battery has left. Nathan, I have a question. How much percentage do you have in your battery right now?
I think I'm at 98.
wow.
Wow, 98. That's pretty awesome. What about you, Mike?
My phone is on, I have a phone that's on 86%, and I have another phone that's on 88%.
Yes.
Of course, that one's charging.
Oh, got it, Nathan. I got it. Sometimes I tell my mom how much percent my battery is left. Like, Mom, I'm powering down. I'm at 15%. We try and limit energy draining activities and add energy building activities into my schedule. This really helps me deal with life better. And the energy builders recharge my battery. So his energy drainers are leaving the house, field trips, eating, traveling, sports. Now his energy builders are building bricks, doodling, swinging or spinning, video games, or heavy blanket, or they have weighted blankets now.
Yeah.
So, pretty cool. Encouragement. All of my superpowers put together can sometimes make me seem what people call socially awkward. I don't get jokes. I can't read body language. I don't care what I wear as long as my clothes are soft and loose. I prefer to process life like a robot. I just don't act or respond the same as other kids my age. Until people understand my superpowers, they won't ever fully understand me and appreciate me for who I am. My mom always said we need to be kind and encourage each other. We need to build up each other's strengths instead of focusing on each other's weaknesses. For now, I'm going to appreciate my own autism spectrum superpowers and encourage others to appreciate people for who they are. Well, that was exhausting. I'm going to play with my building bricks in my room by myself. That's pretty cool. So she said we have 2 more books, but here's a last one of Nathan So now we're going to get to the question part. So Nathan, hear who this book is all about. And I see there's a Bible verse in the back. I will praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. Psalms 139:14. Tell me about you, Nathan, and how you were fearfully and wonderfully made.
Well, I was fearfully and wonderfully made with autism, and I believe that I have this for a reason. And I believe one of the reasons I have this is so that my mom can use this to help other kids who have autism. Kind of, I guess.
That's a perfect answer. Perfect, perfect, perfect. And they love the Bible verse. And hi, Paris, how are you? Love the Bible verse. So, Mike, I want to ask you. Oh, I'll get right to you, Laura. It's like, I got something to say. Mike, tell me how you were wonderfully and uniquely made.
Well, here's the thing. My parents and doctors didn't know that I had autism until I was like 22 years old. And I grew up knowing and not knowing what I had. And now I'm 36 years old. I'm able to drive a car. I'm able to live on my own. I have a bachelor's degree from college. It's like I have all those superpowers in me.
You do have those superpowers, Mike. Lori, what did you want to say as a mom?
Well, I was just going to tell you. So the Bible verse, the verses in the back, we actually made those so you can cut them out and frame them in an 8x10 frame. So those art prints. Each of these books that of this series has an art print in the back. That's an 8x10 that was created specifically by the illustrator of that book to be cut out and framed. So that was something special about that piece. I just want to throw in.
So tell me what inspired you to write this book, Lori.
So when Nathan was 5, he came up to me, and so I'm actually a pediatric physical therapist also. And but Nathan came up when he was 5, and he was just like, "Mom, what's wrong with me?" Because he could tell he was actually nonverbal as far as meaningful communication until about age 4-ish or 5-ish. But when he was 5, he was kind of talking and still not really making eye contact. But he wanted to know what was wrong with him. And I didn't want to be like, buddy, you have autism. It just kind of sucks. Your brain and body don't respond to the world right. Instead, I just decided I was just going to tell him he had superpowers. And so I said, you have superpowers. And he said, what? And I said, so I just started making up stuff. And I said, so you have this thing called supersonic hearing. And this means when everything is really loud, too loud for you, and you're on the floor and your hands are over your ears, it's because your brain is processing the noises too loud, and you're actually hearing them louder than the rest of us. So you really do have louder hearing than we do. And he just looked at me and he was like, thanks for telling me, Mom. What other superpowers do I have? And then I was like, oh, okay. So then I just started making up superpowers and just trying to spin everything that he struggled with, or just things that he actually did excel at, and make it so that it was a positive thing instead of a negative thing for him, and help him just in ways that he could understand, but also ways that his brother and his sister could understand. And I actually did have a Lori illustrated book I made when he was 5, and I typed it out and illustrated it and stapled it, and I had that for years that we used. So it wasn't until a couple years ago I decided finally to go ahead and try and get it published officially. So
love it. So I have some questions. You've probably never been asked this question before, Nathan, and I'm going to ask it to you too, Mike. And then on my other page, Mabry is starting school, and I'm reading her a bedtime story right before she starts first grade. So hi, Mabry. And Ms. Duke said, Nathan, you're an inspiration. So I wanted to tell you that. And Mike, you have a shout out from Ms. Macklin. She said, you're an inspiration. And Mike says he would like to help others on the autism spectrum as well. So here is it. Nathan, which superpower do you think is the one that happens the most?
That happens the most.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been asked that one. You were right. probably, I don't know, I'd like to say my absolute focus maybe, but I think it's between that and my regular routine, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because, yeah, because those two things, like, I don't know, it just really bothers me when we have to switch around routines, and I like to have things planned out. And I also I like to focus on what's going on. I like to focus on what's going on right now. And it just comes naturally.
Mm-hmm. Just like to focus on. So, do you still like to do your trains?
No.
No, that's changed. So, Mike, what would you say is your superpower that is most like you?
Probably remembering things, probably numbers, maps. When I was younger, I would tell people how to get to one place to another, and now since I'm an adult, I'm able to remember those things on my own. So I'm able to use them while I'm driving. Yeah, I've been all over the East Coast driving. So I mean, it's great.
Well, that's pretty cool. I love that. I mean, my memory, I can tell you what I ate for dinner. I can tell you a few things like that. But a couple of things I can remember, but I had this really neat kid that I grew up with, and his name was Dial. He's a man now, like the soap Dial. That was his name. And he memorized the calendars from January to December of 1 year. And so I can walk up to Dial now, and he hasn't seen me in years, and I can say, Dow, how old am I? And he says, no, you were born November 3rd, 1976. Your birthday is going to be on whatever day it's going to be for the year. And he can tell me how old I'm going to be, like without breathing. And that is just the coolest thing. Lydia says, I love this. Thanks, Mike. You're awesome. From Lydia in Dinosaurville, Louisiana. So that's very cool. So this book, where can they get this book?
It's available on Amazon in paperback, and then I also have them available in hardcover on my website, just www.139inspired.com.
So, Mike, do you want Nathan? Let me get with Nathan. Nathan, you want to say anything before we ask the takeaways?
You don't have to say anything.
Okay. I don't really have anything to say.
Okay, that's perfectly fine. What about you, Mike?
I just posted some resources for people to check out, but my takeaway on this is when you meet one person with autism, you met one person with autism, because we are all different and we all have different abilities. We have different things about each other. And so, I mean, like, you met me, I'm one person with autism. You met Nathan, Nathan's one person with autism, but we're different. So basically, my message is, if you met one person with autism, you met one person with autism. And please feel free to check out the resources I posted on the thing.
Yes, I didn't want to block your face, but I'm going to block everybody's face. Comments that he put there. So Nathan, I saw you like, nope, I'm going to get above that comment. Don't hide my face. So I absolutely enjoy talking to all of you. So I like to do this before I get off every time. Takeaways from this book. Lori, takeaway?
And my takeaway is just every kid needs to know that they are amazing and that what they can do matters, and that they have possibilities and potential, and that as far as like, I just want other people to be able to understand them, and there's tools and for friends to be able to help understand them. Like that, this book has tools for friends to be able to help understand them. And I feel like if people can understand kids and understand and have empathy, then it would go a long way to friendships and compassion and just a lot of things. But yeah, all kids matter. And I wrote this book specifically for kids who are on the spectrum, and I believe that they have so much potential. and are amazing. So
Love that. Nathan, your takeaway.
My takeaway from this book is that honestly, everyone with autism and other things, they all kind of just have superpowers and they don't realize it yet. And all it takes is for one person to go up to them and tell them, "Hey, you have superpowers and you're special." And that could change their entire life, and that could change their entire view on how things are, and that could inspire them to be something better, than they could have been before.
Absolutely love that, Nathan. And that's for anybody. That's some really good advice. Mike, your takeaway.
My takeaway from the book, I listened to the book and I tried to relate to the things in the book, and I think I follow similar patterns in the book and how I adapt to them. And I think it's a great book for people to understand what autism is like and how 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 parents of younger kids can relate to other kids with autism. Like I have a 6-year-old niece, and there's going to be a day that my sister's going to tell her that I have autism if she hasn't already. And it's like how we tell my niece that I have autism. So, I mean, this is a great book to have kids or have parents relate to the young kids to let them know what autism is like and how they can react and be friends and all that.
Love that. I love you and Nathan so much. I love you too, Lori, but they are kind of taking my heart tonight. She said, I tell my son on the spectrum this, can't we, let's see, we don't do, can't we make it happen? Let's see. We don't do, we can. I guess she's got to type it again without the hashtag.
We don't do, can't we make it happen?
Thank you, Mike. You are all super. Your message is powerful. Thank you from Ireland. So thank you, Bernadette from Ireland. So this book, to me, it was just what I needed. Sometimes you need a reminder of what it's like just to look at people and appreciate them for who they are with the shortcomings, your superpowers, with everything. And I especially love the fact that Nathan and Mike are so intelligent, and you were able to just articulate everything in this book I needed to hear. And it just gives me as a principle, when my kids come in, it's okay to say, like Nathan said, you have superpowers, and make them engage in why they're doing something different. That it's okay to be different and not hang around them because they're different, but kind of embrace it and find out. So more comments tuning in from Sandwich, Illinois. That makes me hungry. Great message. Love what you're doing, Dr. George. Thank you, Diana. And Mike, go Mike. So David on the other page said, outstanding. This is a great book, especially for educators. If you don't have this book in your classroom, I suggest it highly to get this book. But there's 2 more books. Next week, we have book 2, and it's Hannah's Down Syndrome Superpower. So we'll be reading that next week. And I want to tell you something about Lori. She sells herself short because last week she told me my book isn't really that good, and it was the cutest book. And then she told me this book is not really a book. It's like an informative book. It's not one for Tucked In Tuesdays, and it's killing it on Tucked In Tuesdays. So I absolutely love it. Nathan, you need another superpower. You know what it is?
What?
Inspire mom.
Inspire mom.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's mine.
Yes.
I have that
Yes.
power.
You have that power?
Apparently so.
Oh, yes, you do it. She wouldn't have that book if you weren't. Well, guys, Miss Linda said, hi, Linda. And Mike said it's the best book on Tucked In Tuesdays. I must agree. And Lydia said it is a great book. It is a great book. So I hate to even get off, but thank you, Nathan and Mike, for joining us. If you have kids that are entering schools for the first time, changing schools, I think this book would be great to let them see, and they'll find superpowers in there. I know I had the energy levels. I did have those, and I use those quite a bit. And I don't like getting out of routine either, but I try, and I wish I was just as focused as Nathan in this book, because sometimes I want to stick on routine, but I don't. So I'll read this book again before I go to bed. Good night, Rochelle, Lori, Nathan, and Mike. She said, phenomenal read, great lessons. Mike says, feel free to network with me on Facebook, everyone. So if nobody else tells you Dr. George loves you, Nathan, Lori, you want to say anything?
Miss Lori loves you, and good night. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having me as well.
Mike?
And Mike loves you too, and thank you for having me too. And if you guys want to network with me on Facebook, go ahead.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you all so much for joining us. We'll see you next Tuesday to hear about Hannah's Down syndrome superpower. So we'll see you back next week. Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks.